There is a lot of mainline Pokemon games, but which one is the best? That is the question we're going to be asking today. This is me, LRX, and welcome to my tier list. Here we are with the tier list. Again, I'm going to be tier listing the mainstream games, not going to be doing any like the side ones or like the extra ones, if you guys understand what I mean. So first of all, we're going to be grouping them together just as, there's, obviously, like for example, X and Y, they're going to be grouped together. They're both Gen 6. So we're going to be doing it that way. We're not going to be doing it like every single game because I feel like that'd be kind of too long regardless. But first one on the list, we have Pokemon Red and Blue. And I guess also Yellow. We can throw that one in there as well. So let's talk about, like, obviously we're going to talk about the pros and cons of the games based on what I've seen, what I know, and any other research that I've done to prepare for this video. Red and Blue obviously started the franchise in Yellow, so they are a staple of what made Pokemon today. And they started the franchise. They have iconic Pokemon and the soundtrack, and one of the most recognizable, I guess, generations of all time. It's Kanto. Whenever you hear Kanto, you hear Charmander, Squirtle, Pikachu, Bulbasaur. Whenever you ask for someone's favorite Pokemon, they always say something like Charizard, or even if it's the newer ones. But that's like kind of one of the more mainstream ones that you hear a lot. Even in the Pokemon card game as well, Charizard's pretty up there. It obviously gave players that sense of discovery. Since it was so new, it was different. And I mean, hey, it's iconic. It started the franchise. But we're also going to talk about the cons. Based on my research, I know that apparently psychic types were obviously just way too overpowered, because I don't think dark types were a thing yet. I can't remember exactly. I'll probably edit it in it if they did exist or not. But I do know that it was very like overpowering to have psychic types too. It's just very overpowered. I will say, like, the look of it, obviously, since this is the beginning, I am gonna cut it some slack. But it's also, I wouldn't consider it the most appealing either. I know it's old. I know it came out in like the 1990s or something like that. But still, it's not the worst, but it's also not the best. So I am gonna give this, I mean, I'll give it an A. Just because I would give it a B because of how it looks, but since it's so iconic, because it's so just Pokemon, like, I don't know how you can get into that. When I mean by, obviously S is the best, F is the worst. S is like, I think it's perfect. There's like not really too much wrong with it in my opinion, and that it's easily like enjoyable and replayable as well. I forgot to say that before, but that is the criteria we're kind of going off, is the replayability, the pros and cons of the games that we are tier listing. So with that being said, Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow, I'm gonna throw that in there as well, since they're kind of almost all the same. We're gonna throw that into a tier. Next, we're going into Gen 2, Soul Silver, and oh my gosh, I forgot what the other one is. Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Wow, I almost forgot about that. We got the Johto region with Lugia and Ho-Oh. Now, I have played a little bit of Johto myself. I actually like it. It's pretty cool. I like the idea of having your Pokemon like with you, I guess. Disclaimer, they actually added follow Pokemon in the sequel to Gold and Soul Silver. So yeah, don't listen to me. I made a mistake on that. And I know Pokemon Crystal is kind of a spin-off of Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver, so we're going to group those together as well. The thing that I liked about Heart Gold and Soul Silver is they did add already a lot to it. They added obviously breeding, they obviously added hell items, so they already learned a lot from the previous game of Gen 1. And they also added 16 gym badges, because there's 2 ways you can get those gym badges. And with that being said, based on research, I know there's also a post game due to Kanto. I'm pretty sure you can battle Red, I'm pretty sure, on top of a mountain, if my knowledge is correct. And they have the little Pokemon like kind of right behind you, which is pretty cool, which I think is pretty cool. Now let's talk, those are the pros. Now the cons that I've learned from going on about Johto is that they're not really that popular when it comes to Johto. I feel like the more popular are, I guess, your Feraligatr, your Typhlosion, and I guess like Lugia and Ho-Oh. Like I really don't know too much of the counter base of Johto, but you don't really hear a lot of buzz around their Pokemon base being, or I guess their Pokedex being the absolute best. A lot of unpopularity within their Pokemon, which causes repetitiveness in their team building. but it's still good. I think it's still fun, but because of that, I am gonna give it a C. I like the look of it. It is nice, so that's why I am actually gonna bump it to B. So I do like it. The look of it is better, as obviously they learned from obviously Pokemon Red and Blue, but with the cons that it has, there was some tweaks that they thought would be good, but really didn't make it as good as iconic as like what's in A tier right now. Now we are on to Generation 3. We have Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Oh man, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. And these are such iconic games. Like, I think I don't know if I can separate the two, because I'm putting Ruby and Sapphire at B, because Emerald is really good. I played it myself. It's really fun. Hoenn is a really good game. It's nice. The abilities that they had, the Pokemon that they had, even the sprites, how they looked as well, even looked incredible. And I would say the pacing of it felt a little bit more better than how it was compared to Johto. I'm separating Emerald from Ruby and Sapphire because Emerald just obviously has more options to do with the Battle Frontier, as long as with the Gym Leader rematches that you can do, and it's just a more better experience. And whenever you see people like trying to replay games or whatever, they always come back to Emerald. Why? Because it's just that good. So that's why I'm putting an S. I feel like a lot of people can agree with me on that. There's no doubt S is safe for Pokemon Emerald. I mean, come on, it's a goated game. You can never go wrong with it. Now, the cons. The biggest thing, obviously, in the Pokemon community that a lot of people know is that the biggest con that a lot of people know, or even that IGN, I'll put up a picture right now, is that it had too much water. And everyone knows that it's a meme in the community, which is pretty funny. IGN gave it, I forgot what score they gave it, but it was because one of their critiques was that it was too much water, which is very funny to me, but still a very fun game overall. Like, you can't go wrong with it. So let's go to its counterpart, Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And before we actually continue, let's go to Heart Gold and Soul Silver, because obviously we just had Gold and Silver, but let's go into Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So I was wrong. It wasn't this one where they had the Pokemon follow you. It was in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So I made that mistake. So I'll keep it there. Actually, no, we'll move these two down just to see, because Heart Gold and Soul Silver will belong in B tier. That was my mistake. I forgot that they added it in Heart Gold Soul Silver where the Pokemon follows you. I know that they added 2 regions, which is really cool. They upped their art on it as well, which made it visually better, obviously through Game Boy, through the DS, but it just does show that a sequel can make a Pokemon game better. Now that we finished Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, let's move on to ORAS, which is Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. This is now where it gets interesting, because it came out on a 3DS, which means more 3D was involved, and also where Mega Evolution was introduced. ORAS and Omega Ruby Sapphire is really good. I like the idea, I like the concept. It's really cool with the primal versions as well. But obviously the main part is what I said earlier, Mega Evolution. They introduced Mega Evolution, which already ups it high. It already ups it high, because that is one of the best mechanics that Pokemon has ever introduced in their franchise. Before we move on, let's go into Fire Red and Leaf Green. This is still as iconic as the first one, and honestly I am pushing it into S tier, because it's just still iconic towards the first Kanto region, and it's still and they even made it a better overall experience. It has better quality of life improvements. I forgot, but they even added the Sevi Islands. Hopefully I said that right. The Sevi Islands, whatever one of the two, but it's just a better way to experience Kanto, and I would rather probably replay that one over Fire Red Leaf Green, even though, I would replay Fire Red Leaf Green over Red and Blue, because of how iconic it still made Kanto feel. I know they started the franchise, but still Fire Red Leaf Green are just better overall. Let's move on to Generation 4. We're done with Generations 1 through 3. Now let's finally move on to Generation 4. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Obviously, they had the Sinnoh region, and with the Sinnoh starters, it was Chimchar, Piplup, and Turtwig. I think they're all good starters. I think the lore of it is really cool with the idea of space and time with the legendaries and how they integrated that. And this is where they added physical and special splits into the movesets. If you don't know, Pokemon attacks come in two different varieties. They're either physical or they're special. And they do obviously different things depending on what they are and depending on this, it's the more nerdy stuff. Depending on special attack and whatever does better and yeah. You already, if you played Pokemon for a good amount of time, you already kind of know that aspect. Now, some cons though is that it is very kind of, not I wouldn't say very, but it is kind of slow. It's not that much bigger of a Pokedex. Like, it didn't really add too much, so you're still kind of very limited. And if I'm being honest, the way you can build your team is almost kind of repetitive as well. Like, everyone knows you'll have a Garchomp, a Lucario, some kind of fire type, if you can even find one, because there's not really many that they introduced. Or you also have a Garchomp in there as well. Those are like the four main things that you'll have in there, like for sure, that everyone has. So it's very repetitive as well. That is why I'm putting Diamond and Pearl as this one as a C as well, because we have Pokemon Platinum. Now, Pokemon Platinum is way better than Diamond and Pearl because of the distortion world that it adds with Giratina in it, which makes it goes into I think A tier, because more pros that it has is that it has an expanded Pokedex, so you have way more options to go after. And obviously Cynthia's evolved, you have Cynthia and stuff like that. Okay, we are now moving on to its, I guess, counterpart, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Oh my goodness, this remake was absolutely atrocious. It was not good at all. Like, I would rather play Platinum, I'd rather play Diamond and Pearl than I would play BDSP, if I'm being honest. They didn't really do anything. It wasn't really much of an improvement. And it's just, I don't know. It just really wasn't the best experience playing it. You don't really get anything out of it. And even the animation is okay. Like, I'd rather watch the animation of Platinum than I would of BDSP. And I feel like a lot of people would agree with me that just, it wasn't that fun to even play regardless. Like, I played it myself and I got bored of it, and I would rather immediately go back to Platinum. Like, this, no, it's just, it doesn't fit at all. It's not good. I personally just wouldn't recommend BDSP out of all the games. Like, you can go so many other ways and just have a way better experience overall. So that is why BDSP, I'm sorry, but you're the first E of our tier list. Okay, we are now moving on to Generation 5, where I started. So I'm not going to try to show too much bias, but we're going to just talk about Pokemon Black and White first. Obviously, there's two Black and White and Black and White 2. Black and White has a great storyline. They have obviously one of the best rivals that there is, which is N, and also Team Plasma as well. They have a great story. It fits really nicely with how Pokemon is. It's a brand new Pokedex with so many Pokemon, so many different kinds that you can go for and like build your team around. There's not really a shortage on what your team composition could come out. Like, all of them can be used in on their own ways. But I will say, since it's all new Pokemon within the beginning of the game, you don't see any of like the more iconic ones till way after you're even done, which is a con in my opinion, because you would want to see it either early or a little bit later generations, just so you can get a sense of feel of nostalgia as you're like, oh crap, or oh cool, he's in here, let me pick him up, swoop him up early. So that is why I'm giving it a solid C. It's a good game. What is it replayable? I mean, kind of, but just be aware of what is to come, I guess, if that makes sense. Pokemon Black and White version 2. Oh my goodness. This is going into C or A. I am pushing it into S tier. I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. I know this is where I started, but the story is obviously still amazing. They have way more things to do, like the mask. They have a better post game when it comes to Team Plasma. They even added black and white Kyurem, added Kyurem to the mix with the DNA splicers and the sprites. Oh my gosh, the game just looks so good too. So I continued to glaze for the next minute or two, so we're just gonna move on from there. On to Generation 7, or my bad, Generation 6. Here we are with Pokemon X and Y. It is going in A tier. Not only are the legendaries really good, but they brought back Mega Evolution. And I mean, come on, Mega Evolution in a game just makes things so good. It makes it like really fun to play. It gives those points of nostalgia because at one point you can even pick between the 3 starters from Pokemon Red and Blue, Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur. And it doesn't feel slow, which is nice. But it also doesn't feel really fast. It's in that good margin of just like mediums, fast pacing, which makes it really enjoyable to play. The visuals are good, and obviously this came out at the time of 3DS, but for it being 3D, it still looked good. It wasn't like distorted, or it didn't feel like anything like it wasn't like a downgrade, if that makes sense. The reason why though, I think I might have to push it down to B. You don't necessarily have to do much in order to already over level. You don't have to do much to beat your rivals or really anything like that easily. And even then, your rival doesn't really have much personality. It's just the other person that you just didn't pick, which kind of makes it kind of boring at times. Even though it is a good game that you can replay, because of those, it just doesn't feel too completed, if that makes sense. It doesn't really feel completed. The legendaries are good though, but that is why it is going into that B tier. I know I had an A initially, but knowing that with the cons that it has, knowing that just how easy it is, but other than that, that's really how it is. Now let's move on to Generation 7, where we have Pokemon Sun and Moon, and we're going to be talking about later, Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Pokemon Sun and Moon is okay. I mean, the world of Alola is decently good. I would say it is on the same level as Pokemon X and Y. The story is pretty good. It has, obviously, the islands is differently than how it is played with the 4 islands that you can literally go to with the more different Pokedex. The starters are good. I believe it are Grookey, Scorbunny. No, who am I thinking of? Pokemon Sun and Moon is Alola. What is Alola? Oh, Litten, Puplio, and Rowlet. Obviously, in the competitive community, Incineroar is one of the most scariest Pokemon they can ever go against. But let's cut away from that for a second. Let's talk about the game itself. The pros that it has is a great story. It has one of the best characters, arguably, which is Lily, who has a great storyline as well when it comes to Cosmog and Cosmoem and just that set of legendary Pokemon. Even the legendary Pokemon are cool as well. Lunala and Solgaleo are good as well. Although it does have a slow beginning, it still isn't. It still becomes good as you move on, and unfortunately, there is a lot of cutscenes, but it's still worth overall playing again if you do like that Sun and Moon Alola arena. But now let's move on to Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I would put it in the same tier as Pokemon Sun and Moon. Even though it does have more Pokemon, it has more content, it still almost kind of feels the same, and the story itself kind of loses some emotional impact that just regular Sun and Moon had. Obviously, the idea of adding the Necrozma to the game, and I believe Zygarde as well. I can't remember if he was added in there. I think he was in Sun and Moon. I can't fully remember, but I would say they're on the same tier as within each other. They're both just good games, and I wouldn't mind replaying any of them. Okay, here we are, Pokemon Sword and Shield, where they implemented the wild areas. Let's talk about the pros first about Sun and Shield. The legendaries are absolutely amazing. Zamazenta, Zacian are really good. The gym atmosphere that you do with the whole just arena that you get to feel, it feels great. They also even added Dynamax into this generation. I think it's pretty cool. I think the way that it not only grows giant, it looks funny, like the way it interacts, the way it works, and I think it's pretty good. I think it works really well, which I don't really mind. Some cons that it comes with Sword and Shield is that it does unfortunately have a weak story. The wild areas is where they try to implement, I guess, that necessary feel of open world, which if you guys watch my past video, you guys already know how I feel about them trying to convert it into open worlds. Not really my cup of tea, not really my forte. That is why I'm stuck between B or C just because of that. I know they had some kind of Dexit controversy, but I'm not going to get really too deep into that because we're just talking about the gameplay itself. So that's why I will put it into B. I will still replay it again. Like, it's still fun. I still like it a lot. Honestly, Generation 7 in a friggin' nutshell. Continuing with the line of Pokemon mainstream games, Pokemon last one, Scarlet. Well, I guess recently, Scarlet and Violet. It does have a good story. The legendaries are cool. Miraidon and Koraidon are really cool and really strong and really powerful. And I'm putting in C because of the open worldness that it begins to try to, I guess, convert into, which kind of moves it away from, I guess, what makes it feel like Pokemon to begin with. You guys already know how I feel about just Pokemon open world in general. Even though I know it has a good story, it's still really cool. That is why I'm pushing it to B. Even though I know its cons is that I know it had some performance issues. Like, you would be buggy a lot of the time. Like, it wasn't really the best running game. That is why I'm like stuck between B or C because of just how it played out. Like, whenever you try to play it, it felt like it made your computer run like a potato. Like, or I mean, not your computer, your system run like a potato. And it took them a while to fix those issues. It being more open world, yeah, I'm gonna leave it in C because of this open worldness, because of its. But is it on the same tier as? I think I'm gonna move these two down to D, and we'll keep that one at C. I feel like that's fair. Yeah, that feels a little bit better. Yeah, that is my tier list right there. In S tier, we have Pokemon Emerald, we have Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, and we have Pokemon Black and White 2. In the A tier, we have Pokemon Fire Red, we have ORAS, which is Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and Pokemon Platinum in there as well. In our B tier, we have Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, we have Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon X and Y, Pokemon Sun and Moon, Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon, and Pokemon Sword and Shield. In our C tier, we have Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, Pokemon Black and White, and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. In our D tier, we have Pokemon Silver, Pokemon Gold, and Pokemon Crystal. Sorry Gen 2 fans, it's just how I feel. And in E tier, I'm just going to move it to F just because of how bad it is. We have BDSP, Brilliant Diamond, and Shining Pearl. That is my tier list right there. If you guys have any questions about it, or if you guys want to rate it down below out of 10, leave it down in the comments below. But let me know how you guys feel about it. Let me know what you guys think about it. If you guys don't forget to already, feel free to subscribe, feel free to share, and feel free to drop a like. And without further ado, this has been your boy Milo Rex, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.